Oh, you're a mixing and mastering engineer, are you? Well, this is why you shouldn't be. Okay, so mixing and mastering, two totally different things. I think people, when they're starting off in music, think that they can be joined together. Now, they are totally two different mindsets. The mindset of mixing is all about balancing the track, listening to the individual instruments, how they all play together, and getting the mix to kind of all come together so it's working from the vocals and all that kind of stuff. You know what mixing is. And mastering mindset is, okay, I'm listening to the whole of that. I'm not interested in how the little individual instruments are sat and what they're doing. I'm just listening to how they all play together and how that sounds when it's finished loud, and how does that play out and sound like a finished track. I don't want to be getting involved with the mixing stage at that point. That's done. So the most important thing is to realise that, and when you are a mix mastering engineer, is you have to stop the process of mixing, export the tracks and start the process of mastering, which is fine, and you can do that. But the main reason why you should be either a mixing or a mastering engineer is because you're splitting your time across two things. And so what's going to happen is you're only going to be able to charge up to a certain amount of money for things, because the kind of clients you're dealing with when you say you're a mixing and a mastering guy are all going to be fairly low-end-ish people that don't see the benefit of the two different things and having two different engineers. Now, the reason why I say this, because if you look at any other industry, not just what we do in music, but if you look, I work at Pinewood Studios, and there's, you know, every single different department you could possibly think of. And that's because they know that you need to focus on one thing and be an expert and a specialist in one thing. It's the same when you're a builder. Do you want to be the guy that comes round who can do a bit of everything but only charges like £150 a day? Or do you want to be the plumber that comes over and charges you 250 quid for 3 hours work? That's the kind of deal it is. And the electrician who charges by the light, or the painter who plasterer who charges by the wall. So all these different things have different amounts that they can charge. It's the same with being a mix engineer and a mastering engineer and a recording engineer and a live sound guy and a thing. But when you're trying to be a little bit of all of them, you're never going to be able to command the big money. You're never going to be able to work on bigger music and better stuff, because the bigger, better people can understand, and they know that these things should be separated off, and they appreciate why they are separated off, because they want to come to me because I'm a mastering guy. They know Streaky equals mastering. They don't think Streaky equals mixing. They don't think Streaky equals recording. It's Streaky equals mastering. And people, when they come to me and they say, can you mix this? No, I can't. It'd be very easy for me to say, yes, I can, and I could do them a bodgy little job, but it's going to take up loads of my time. It's going to take up loads of effort in me learning how to mix. So I would rather specialise, learn exactly what I'm doing with mastering, know everything I possibly can with mastering, put all of my efforts into marketing myself as a mastering engineer, put all my efforts into when I'm talking to people like you about mastering and having an expert opinion on that, rather than having a little bit of knowledge about a few things and then not being actually very good at any of them. Or you can be good, but not to the same standard. A guy that does mixing and mastering, I'm more than happy to do a shootout all day long on the mastering side of things, because I know that I have spent 25 years listening intensely to things just from a mastering perspective, not from a mixing perspective, just mastering, and the equipment I'm using, just mastering. I know how to use that just for mastering. Now, you can also say, well, I don't have as much work just doing that. And there have been times in my career where I haven't had that work either. I'll give you a massive for instance, where in 2008, when I left Soundmasters, the kind of economy wasn't great, and so Kevin couldn't afford to keep me on as an engineer. Suddenly I was left with no equipment, starting again, if you like. All my customers were with Soundmasters. Yeah, I had all that experience. I've been a mastering engineer for about 12 years by that point. But it would have been very easy for me at that point to just take on any work and just say I need, because I had to pay my bills. I still had my mortgage and my kids to pay for and stuff. So suddenly one day I'm a sound engineer getting a salary. Next day I'm now freelance and I've got no equipment, no studio and no clients. So I had to then think, okay, what am I going to do? And I'm still a mastering engineer. I didn't say, okay, I'm going to be a mix engineer. And I didn't say to people, okay, I'll do it for £10 a track. You need to not be desperate. You need to have the confidence and say, I can do this and I do it for this amount because that's how good I am. And then people will respect you for that and they will give you the work and then your work will grow. As I've said previously, you need to just be building up your clients and building up the money, and then when you can get to the point where you've got enough clients coming in for a decent amount of money, then you're going to earn a decent living. And it's really scary, I know it is, when you haven't got any work coming in and you're turning people away because they're offering you too little to work. But it's like, well, I can't do it for that price. It's just not worth it. And that's so hard to do. But it's something that you have to do. It's something that I did, and it helped me just carry on then growing and building myself again. And yeah, I did deals to kind of get work in, you know. But the thing that happened the most for me at that point in 2008, where I started again from scratch, was I had to get my equipment, I had to go out and find clients, I had to find somewhere to master from, and it makes you dig super deep into, right, the shit's hitting the fan, I've got these bills to pay by the end of the month, how's that happening? It is one of the best things that can happen to you as an engineer. In any point of your life, when your back's against the wall, you usually will find a way out of that. So usually it's the best thing that can happen to you, but at the time it feels like the worst thing that can happen to you. And so I think that don't be scared, get cracking, you've got to find the work. I mean, I'm phoning people out of, you know, just finding A&R men, hassling them, phoning any kind of strand of person that I had. But I'll leave all that for another video. I won't bore you to death in my life story, but you need to select what you're going to be, a mixing or a mastering guy. Stick to it, get really good at it, and then you'll enjoy what you're doing much more than being the jack of all trades and master of none and just earning a small amount of money for what you're doing because no one can see any value in you because they don't see you as an expert and a specialist in your field. So think of it like builders, plumbers, music, film industry, where there's a lighting guy, there's a sound guy, there's a director, there's a producer. It's exactly the same in music. You've just got to have the confidence to do it. And the music industry hasn't changed before you start saying to me, it's a changed place now because, you know, everyone can do everything and it's all free and such and such. No, it's not. At the top level, everybody is a specialist. At the bottom level, yeah, everyone's a generalist, and that's the same in any industry. When you're in the top level of the building world, you have specialists. When you're at the bottom and you're just doing DIY projects and that kind of thing, you get one guy and he can do everything, but it's never that great, is it? So you need to, if you want to up your game, if you want to get good clients, if you want to be in the top of your industry, then you need to specialise. Enough said. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe. Bye.